Welcome to this new episode of Soulversations with Mka Morris. I am so super excited about my guest today. Wow. So if any of you guys have been following me a little bit in my life, you kind of know that my mom and I just reconnected probably about 5 years ago, um, 4 or 5 years ago. Could be longer, okay? Because I'm not really good with numbers. I kind of just live and that's that. But I know I was in my 40s and I'm close to 50, 50 now. I'm almost 50. So anyway, but yeah, I just reconnected with my mom in the last less than 10 years. Let's just put it like that. So, she's my guest today. And you know why she's my guest? Cuz we thought it would be a great conversation to have about forgiveness and love and like how DNA like don't lie, don't matter. Like at the end of the day, like let's learn to love and forgive. My mother, for whatever reason, had me at 16, and 16-year-olds go through a whole bunch. Um, she one day decided that she needed to do something different at the time, and that was to leave me with family, my aunt. So my dad raised me, and there was this craziness about not really telling me that who my real mother was. So I grew up not knowing that I had a biological mother out there. So it's a weird little crazy story. Maybe one day we'll write the book. But for today, what I wanted my viewers to understand is that one day you may get a call and it could be from your daughter. Take the call, mothers. One day you may get a call, daughters, and it may be from your mother. Take the call. Take the call and let life do what life does. Reconnect, restore what the devil thought he could just take and have. And look, it can be a beautiful ending. I was pregnant with my last two set of kids, and all I wished for was grandparents for my kids. And look at God, y'all. So, without further ado, let's welcome my mother, Nandi. I call her Nandi, but um, I'm gonna let you guys call her Nandi too. Nandi, and she'll tell you about why we're calling her Nandi. It's such a beautiful story. So, Nandi, welcome to the show.
Welcome and thank you for having me.
I love you so much. I love you for your yes.
Same to you. Love you very much.
Oh. So let's get into this Nandi thing. My mother was born Carolyn, but she goes by Nandi now. So can you tell us about that? Because when I met her and she told me this story, I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Oh, sure. I decided to take a journey over to Africa, and the reason is because I wanted to research the person who I was and what my culture was about, what we where we came from, and it always bothered me like, okay, when I learned a little bit about history, it always ended up here in the South in slavery or whatever. And I was like, well, what did we do before then, before slavery and all that? How is it that we don't know anything about that? So when I was given the opportunity to go with a college group over to a conference there, I was like, okay, how much time do I have to save up my little ducats because I would like to go? So, long story short, it was a very good experience. I went to West Africa, and while I was there, someone mentioned, well, we're going to see this chief, and the chief is going to do a ceremony. So I'm like, okay, cool. I want to know what that's about. And that was so interesting to me to meet a chief. And I'm like, okay, let me go. When I was there, he kind of pulled me out of the crowd and said, you're going to be one of the people that we're going to do a naming ceremony about. And I'm like, me, you know. So he said, yeah. So everybody else started, raising their hands. And it's like, oh, I would like to, have a naming ceremony as well. So I don't know why he chose me out of the lineup. But anyway, I'm like, okay, let's do this. So as he goes to each individual, he gives them a name and he whispers the name into their ear.
Mm.
So when he whispered, "Your name is Nandi," and he said it means a woman of high self-esteem, and then he went to the next person. I'm like, hmm. At this point, I'm not feeling like a woman of high self esteem. But if this is the name that he saw in me, I'm going to take that. And that's going to be my new journey of what it all means to be a woman of high self esteem. So I came back to the States with a whole different attitude and a name change of Nandi.
Let's stop right there. Okay. So when I met my mother, okay, so prior to meeting me, you met me before, but prior to meeting me, you didn't feel like the name fit, but you wanted to walk into the name.
Absolutely.
And so when you told me that story, I just was like, wow, that's amazing. And when I met you, I felt all of the fear and all of the everything that comes with meeting your child for the first time. Like we I went to Houston, long story short, again, read the book at some point. I went to Houston and I called you. What was that call like for you?
Well, once we finally got connected, it was like, oh, so amazing. And so like, God, okay, this is it. This is it. This is my time to meet her for the first time. It was just an amazing call. I went through so many emotions. Is she gonna like me? Am I okay? It's so many emotions. I was everywhere on that call, and it's like, okay, what do I tell her? What do I do? How do I act? This and that. So it was emotional until I saw you for the first time. But on my way there, oh, my emotions was everywhere. And I think my only thought is, I hope she likes me.
Oh. So there was a phone call. There was a few phone calls that happened before she got the phone call, and I
Yes.
think it was. So I called. I went to Houston, and it's funny that she went on a trip to Africa with the college. When I first went, I got a phone call saying, we found your mother." And I'm like, "Hold on, how'd you find my mother? She's supposed to be deceased." Like all my life, well, for 20 years of my life, that was the story that maybe she's gone. And then for someone to say randomly, like, "No, we think we found her," and then I started to do the research, and I found her Facebook page random, because I'm a good researcher like that, people. But anyway, I find the Facebook page and I go to Houston. She I found out that she had a Jamaican jerk chicken truck, and I just was like, I'm going to go have some jerk chicken, and then I'm going to let her know she's my mother. It didn't happen like that. I went down there. She was in Jamaica. Her husband had lost his dad, and
Right.
so I had to wait till she got back because I got all this information from her neighbor by telling him I was college shopping for my daughter because she lived down the street from the college up the street. So all these things are like intertwined. But I first contacted your husband because the neighbor gave me his number. And then I called him and I was like, "Look, because I'm in town. I'm in town for a whole day and I can't reach them. I can't find the truck. I can't find them. And excuse me, before I leave, I'm getting desperate and I'm going to meet her before I leave this second time." So I call her husband and I let him know that I'm her daughter. And I was like, "I don't know if she told you." He was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm her daughter and I just want to see her." So she had gotten prior notice that I would be calling from her husband. So what was that call like?
Yeah, so he tells me, okay, you have a call from your daughter, and first of all, you have a daughter? And I said, I don't know if you don't
Excuse me.
remember years back when you first asked me if I had any kids, and I said, yes, one daughter. I said, but maybe because since she wasn't in my life, it just went over your head, or I don't know. But when he gave me that, he's like, well, look, call her up. This is her number, this and that.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. So I'm calling and calling and calling. Well, the number wasn't going through, or
She
the
has the
number was wrong.
wrong number, y'all. This
And
story was such a cliffhanger in these
I
two
was
days. It
like,
was crazy.
so I'm fussing at him. And then I had to apologize later. Like, how did you write the number down? Are you sure this is the number? And why would she give you a wrong number? That doesn't make sense. And I'm so emotional. Like, this is the number I'm calling. Was it at a hotel? Was it at a motel? Or, I don't know. Just call the number. So I said, well, maybe she'll call him back. And that's what you did. And when you called him back, he's like, okay, I got the number right now, or whatever.
Oh, he gave me your number. So then I called you.
That's what I was telling him. Why didn't you give
Yeah.
her my number? Yes. So, yeah.
So then we meet. So okay, so I call her. She takes the call. She's so excited. She's at work. She's like, okay, I'm at work, but can I call you back? I'm like, sure. So she calls me back, and she said, you're here. You're in town. I said, yes. She said, and you want to see me? I said, I do. She said, okay. Well, when can we see each other? I said, now. She was like, okay. Should I come to you? Should you come to me? I said, I'm at a hotel. You can come to me, or I can come to you. However you want to do it. Like, I really wanted her to feel really comfortable. Because I know, like, getting a phone call in the middle of the day, and, like, that's kind of random and weird. But it's also, like, I'm a mother. I understand, like, if I had no contact with my child, I would receive that call exactly the same way she did. And so when she said, okay, I'll come to you. Now, mind you, she's like, what, 20, 30, 40 minutes away?
Yeah.
But she made her way over to the hotel. And when I opened the door, my first instinct was this. Oh my God, look at her. She's so cute. And this is why my oldest daughter is as tiny as she is, because she's tiny. Like, the height. I instantly saw my daughter's height. I instantly saw my face. I instantly saw so many things that was undeniably me. And that was just like, that was a closure moment for me. Like, as a kid, when I first found out that my mother who was raising me was not my biological mother, I had been looking for my mother in all these random strange people. I would see people who I thought looked like me, who resembled me. Never did I think she looked like this. I just would look at me and be like, oh, that's my mother, and that's my mother. And never, I just never thought the day would actually come that I would meet you. So what was it like for you when I opened the door?
The same, the exact same, except I froze. I couldn't even.
Yeah, you did. She
I
did
couldn't
freeze a little.
even go through the door because it was like I'm seeing a mirror image of myself, and it was. Now I saw your dad, and I saw me. I definitely saw me, and it's like I can't move. I literally couldn't move through that door. I just wanted to embrace you, hug you, touch you, kiss you, hold you. So I just stood there, and I'm like, okay, God, push me in, push me in, push me in. And it was just an amazing reunion. It was just an amazing mother-daughter reunion. And I know I went into tears when I saw you, but just the first view, the first sight, I saw myself when I saw you. And it's like,
So
gosh, she
all of
looks
my
like me.
life, everybody has told me I look like my dad. I look like my dad's mother, which was my grandmother on my dad's side. So, but to see this woman who actually is just a browner version of me, like my whole everything, I just was like, wow, how's this even possible? And then she walked in. So because she did stand there for a while, I just hugged her because I needed her to feel safe. And I just wanted the moment that we met to be the most safe. I wanted to be as vulnerable as I could be so that you could be vulnerable, so that you didn't feel like you wasn't welcome or you wasn't accepted. Because as a woman, again, you know how this could go off. Like, you could have came in and I could have been like, I realized why it took so long for us to meet. And this is a sidebar for anybody who's going through this type of thing, with the missing mother, missing daughter, whatever. Time. Everything in God's time. Had I met her at 18, 20, 25, look, all she could have been good for me in that time of my mindset was a good babysitter for that kid that I just had, because I would have been in a place of, you weren't here for me, you got to be here for her. That's not her job, that's not her role. It's God had to evolve me to a place to be able to accept you with such love and such care. I needed to show you love and care because I had played the scenario out a million times. As a little kid, I just longed for my mother. And then as a 20-year-old who's pregnant and like looking for her mother, now I'm like, where's she at? Like, it's on now. Like, does she know all the things that I've been through? When you don't have a parent that's there, you start to blame them for all of the ills that happen to you. And so as an adult, as a 40-year-old mother, I understand that none of us are perfect. All of us go through life making some mistakes, and all we want is love and forgiveness. And so I literally knew that that's all I could give to her in that moment was just love and forgiveness. And I know that you were coming with your own thoughts about this, or like you said, was she like me? Was she, you're already loved, God had already changed and placed, I mean, he had changed my heart and gave me such forgiveness and love for you. And I think I've always loved you. I think, as a kid, every kid loves their mother, and that doesn't take away from the mother that raised me and poured into me, and then my other mother, Carolyn, who did the same. I was blessed to have several mothers throughout my life. But to now have someone in my life, to now, like, this is Nandi. I call you Nandi because the woman of high self-esteem. It takes a woman of high self-esteem to put herself in a place of vulnerability, of judgment, of fear, of shame, and all of that. And so when we met and you told me that name, I was like, oh, you're not there yet, but you will be.
Right.
And you will be, because
Yeah.
I'm going to help you understand like what all of this really was about.
And you
Like, so I was grateful that God had answered my prayers. My kids have an amazing grandmother. All I
Oh,
could think
thank
was,
you.
God, I'm pregnant at this age and my kids don't have a grandmother. And here you come.
Yeah.
So what is that like? So after we met and we did the
Well,
hug, how did that feel?
it felt even more greater when you said that I was a grandmother. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. Oh, how wonderful was
Your life
that?
changed in 2.2
So,
seconds.
yes. So, I think I was about to faint at that time. Like, literally, I prayed for that moment for so many times. And I guess I didn't even have a mindset of being a grandmother as much as I did with a mindset of
Being
having
a
a daughter in my life.
right.
So to have a daughter and my grandkids in my life was just so wonderful and overwhelming, and so happy and so thankful. And I know I got on my knees when I got home and prayed. And it's like, okay, you brought me a daughter and you brought me grandkids into my life. So yes, it was just wonderful to hear that. And then when you put them on the phone, it's like, okay, I'm a grandmother. This is their voice. I'm listening. I'm hearing this. And yeah.
So how was it for you? You I was in my 40s. So tell me about the 40-year journey without your child. Whoo,
Um,
Lord.
well, I moved around a lot. um my 40-year journey, and of course, we all go through toxic relationships. So I guess that's another story anytime. So you went through the toxic relationships, you went through, I traveled to different places only to um, learn about me. And I think that was also a hidden escape route to say, okay, my life is not perfect. I'm having all kinds of issues that I don't know how to confront on my own. So maybe if I move around here or there, it'll keep my mind off of my issue. that didn't work. So whatever problems that I was having, my problems went with me.
Exactly.
And I think I learned in my 40s that I was running from myself.
Ooh, that's deep.
I was running from myself. I was hurting. I was in pain. I went through all the emotions of losing a child. And that's how it felt when you wasn't in my life. Every day, I think the first thing you asked me was, did you ever think about me? And I said, there was a day, when did I not think about you? So adding that on my mind constantly, I was just running away from myself. And when I got to the point where I need to stop running and face what was coming into my life and face my issues and face my problems, and we didn't know about seeking out
Therapy.
therapy at that time, so you keep all of this bottled up inside. And so my 40s was kind of a turmoil like that, and I kind of constantly broke out of it, but it all came out when we met. It was like, this is what was bottling up. I needed my family in my life.
Let me ask you a question. So, my birthday's November the 10th. How was those? How was birthdays for you?
The birthdays very hard because I remember on the 10th of every November, and that was the hardest. Yeah, birthdays was very hard. Mother's Days were hard. Christmas was hard. Like I said, when was it not hard?
Right. So, what would you say to a mother who was in your predicament, who, for whatever reason, left her child, and because you didn't leave me abandoned anywhere, you left me in good hands with my aunt. Okay, so you're 16, you're running. Which is interesting because if anybody looked at my life, they would say I was a runner too. Patterns, DNA. Um, what would you say to a woman who left and didn't know how to go back? What would you say to her?
Just um, who? Because I wish somebody had told me that
Yes.
back then.
Yes.
So I would say I wish somebody had told me that life is a challenge and you're going to have mistakes, and grow from your mistakes. Don't run from your mistakes. So that's what I would tell them.
What would you say to the family? Because I feel like for you, not only did we reconnect, but you reconnected with your sister and your brother.
Indeed.
Mother and father had already deceased, passed on. What would you say to someone who left and felt like, God, I've been gone for so long, I can't go back now? Because that's what I feel like you did. I don't know if that's what it was, but I get that part. I get that if you're gone for so long and you're running from yourself and you're just doing like, look, we can do life and look up. It's a whole nother year. And then that year turns into 5 years. And then that 5 years turns into 10 to 20 years. And then here you go. And life has moved on. It's like, oh, how do I show up now? If you could, would you have done anything different?
Oh, I would have did a lot of things different. Yeah, I would have did a lot. I would have took my own advice where if you make mistakes, you have to face up to your mistakes. You have to face up to your decisions. You have to face up to your faults. And no one is perfect.
Yes.
You're human. And again, I wish I learned earlier in life and didn't wait so long. But yeah, I would tell the person, just keep God in your heart and in your prayer, and know that there's a rainbow on the other side. You just step over. Don't be afraid to just step over. And that I didn't step over. I wish I would have in a certain length of time, instead of letting time go by so long. I wish I would have said, okay, you're strong, you're gonna do this, step over it, it's gonna be okay. All of these things that I'm saying, I wish somebody had said it to me back then.
Mm.
So I guess that's what I was saying. You have to keep prayer in your heart and just know that there is a better life and a better situation on the other side, and just have faith and believe.
I like that. Um, so after we met, then we did the reunion with your sisters and brothers at my house.
We did. Yeah,
How was that
we
for
did.
you? It
Oh,
was a
that was
surprise.
yeah, but that was a wonderful surprise because we had talked on the phone by then,
Hmm.
but just seeing them and the growth and the changings of them, like we all of age, and it shows, and it was fun. It was very nice, very nice. Yeah, and I enjoyed that. I didn't want that night to end. I almost kind of felt like Cinderella, like, okay,
Oh.
I'm at the ball, everybody's here, all the love, all the family and everything, and I didn't want that night to end. So I just kept that memory in my mind for weeks.
Oh.
So that's yeah, it was really nice. Yeah. And when I went to embrace my brother, it was, just a hug that it just felt so good. And then when I got to my sister and just hugged her, I didn't even want to let go.
Mm.
It was just wonderful, wonderful.
Mm. That's beautiful. So I think what this Soulversation literally is about is like, let's all give each other second chances.
Or third or fourth, if it need be.
Yes. Like, let's
If
never
it
give up on family.
exactly.
Okay, let's never give
Let's
up on family. Let's you know, my journey is not your journey. So none of our journeys look exactly alike. And a lot of people can say, if it was me, I would have did. Well, it's not you, okay?
true.
It's not you, and you don't know what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. And I mean, by listening to my mother when she says that every birthday was hard, every Mother's Day was hard, every Christmas was hard. Imagine being without your child, your parent, your whatever for all of these years, and it's like you was punishing yourself for all of these years by being away, and like, to the next person, they probably was like, well, she must be living her best life. No, think about that from that person's perspective. So I want anybody who's going through loss of a parent, loss of a child, loss of whatever, in any of these kind of weird circumstances. The 80s was a crazy decade. 70s, 80s, 90s. It's a lot of our stories out there, okay? We're not exclusive, okay?
Exactly.
Um our parents, our aunties, our uncles, whatever, they went through a lot. And if you know someone and you know that they're dealing, like, some of what they're dealing with is just the loss of their child. Some of them are just dealing with the loss of a relationship or whatever. So, you know, send this video to them and let them know that, hopefully, send both sides the video, the mother and the child, so that they can understand that there is forgiveness and there is love that they can create too. It can look like however they want it to look like. She didn't come in my life and was like, hey, I just want to be here all the time. Like, she came, she gave me space. I gave her space. We give each other space to grow and be, and we're learning each other, year after
Absolutely.
year after year. And it's a beautiful thing. It is so great as a daughter to see herself in somebody else that she didn't see herself in. And when you live with your parents all your life, you don't even understand like all of the qualities that you guys have alike. But because she's new to me, it's like her walk is my walk. Her Some of her tones of her voice is my voice. It's weird and crazy and cute and funny all at the same time. It's an amazing thing that if you will allow just love and kindness in your heart to just be blessed in a different way. Like, mother and daughter relationships don't have to be one way. You know, you can get your mother back 40 years from now and it be a blessing to your life. Because, look, I came from her, but because of me, it's my children come from me. And then my children, what, it goes on and on and on. But none of this would exist without her. So while we're sitting here condemning, our mothers for certain mistakes, not understanding that we all make mistakes and we all have faults, let's be a little bit kinder, gentler, sweeter to ourselves. Okay, like I said, my mother literally was punishing herself year after year after year, going through pain, when literally she could have kind of looked for me too and just ended her pain a long time
Absolutely.
ago. But maybe
Absolutely.
fear said,
Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
about the time we did meet. We did meet one time. This is a good story, and we'll end on that.
Okay.
You remember when we met at the apartment, my daddy?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. When I came to your house, I saw like three kids. I couldn't even remember
It was
how
three
many
of us.
because I was just focused on you.
Yes.
And your dad was like, okay, when you come in, you're the Avon lady. And I'm like, okay, but I don't have no Avon. So it's like, all right, well, it don't matter, but you're the Avon lady. You want to see your daughter? I'm like, yes. So I'm meeting, my daughter for the first time, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a mini me. And I don't know what he had mentioned because I think y'all was saying, oh, I want this, I want that, from the Avon. And I'm like, okay. I'll put in your order. I'll get your order for you. And that's it. But my main focus was just seeing you. But okay, if I had to be the Avon lady to see you, that's who I was the Avon lady. So that was the story that we cooked up only to see you. So I went back home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I saw my daughter. She's so little. She's going to the store, cause I saw you back and forth walking to the store. And I think you like, where my Avon at? Yeah. When I saw you, I was so embarrassed.
As you should have been.
I was so
For
embarrassed.
years, I wanted my Avon. I was like, and then when I found out the truth about the Avon lady,
Yes.
it was horrible to me. So, y'all, stop telling y'all kids these crazy stories. So, my daddy concocted a story with her, basically telling her she could see me, but she had to pretend to be the Avon lady. All I'm thinking as a 9-year-old, because
Yeah.
I was 9, y'all. I was 9 years old. My
Yeah.
daddy's sitting at the table at the dining room in our house with a lady.
Yeah.
And my daddy was a ladies' man. So I'm like, oh, he got a nerve. He got a lady up in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to tell my mommy. And so I get to I'm mad. So I go to my room and he's like, Tamika, come here. And he was just telling her I'm a straight A student and this, that, and the other and da-da-da-da. And he was like, she the Avon lady. And because
Yeah.
I'm doing so good in school, she going to give me some stuff. So I go through the book and she's asking me some little random questions. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, girl. Here, give me this, this, this. She never brings the Avon back ever. And in my 9-year-old head, I literally was looking for this lady to give me my products. And then one time when I was like 13, my aunt told me the truth. My father's sister, she was like, you did see your mother once. And I was like, when? So I'm like a teenager then. She's like, she came to your house and she pretended to be the Avon lady. I know exactly who she was talking about. And I was so mad because I couldn't remember your face.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's so cruel. Y'all, that's so cruel.
And I remember being there and I'm like, okay, I don't want to make waves. Whatever situation he got going on, I'm going to be the Avon lady. But the minute I walked in, I remember one of either your sister or your brother said, Tamika, she looks just like you. Yes,
Really?
I heard that. I literally heard that. And I'm like, oh my God, now I'm busted.
Wow.
Thinking that, you would put two and two together. So I don't know if you heard that, but one of them, I can't remember which one, but one of the little kids, because y'all was all little,
Right.
said, she looks just like you.
Wow, now I'm going to have to talk to them.
Yes. And I went out the door like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't make waves, with that situation. So, but I did because I never came back with your Avon.
You did. So I think that's a good way to
Yeah.
end this conversation on a funny high note. That
Yeah.
here's the deal, people. If you promise little kids anything,
No, no,
deliver
don't
because
do that.
they
Yeah,
hold you. Like, yeah, I never
absolutely.
forgot that I didn't get my Avon.
Yeah.
And to find out that the Avon lady was my actual biological mother, it was just like crazy to me. I was like, you guys are the worst, okay? Like they
Yeah,
could have did this
that,
so
yeah.
much better. But, you know,
So
God, look,
sorry.
nothing that's done in the dark, everything that's done in the dark will eventually come to light. So that's why,
Absolutely.
let's just start telling kids the truth. Let's say, hey, this is not your mom, and your mom, she went on vacation, or I don't know what you're going to tell them, but tell them the truth, because the truth is going to come out, and it's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward. It was so awkward when my mother, who was raising me, had to finally tell me the truth. It was because they never changed my birth certificate, and Virginia schools did not play that. They was like, "Oh, wait a minute, this not your daughter. Well, we need to fix this." So she had to go home and sit me down and tell me the truth. That's when I found out the truth randomly by finding my birth certificate, and they just kind of brushed it under the rug. But I'm just saying all this to say, because again, maybe read the book, get the movie, maybe, Nandi and I will collaborate and tell our full story. Um, but I just feel like, as the kid who went through um, a sense of, it kind of made me look for my mother, and all like I would be on a train looking for you. I'd be at a game looking for you. Whenever there was a lot of people, I would always try to seek you out. And it was because I knew I was holding on to a secret, and nobody in my life was willing to tell me the truth. And that was just the weirdest thing to me. And that's not your part of the story, because you just gave me to your family. You didn't know what they was going to tell me after you gave me to my aunt. So I'm saying to you all, if you guys got shit in y'all mixed with y'all kids, just try to tell some semblance of the truth, because it's going to come out. And when it comes out, be prepared for all the questions, because we have lots.
Amen to that.
But do you have anything that you want to say or share
Um,
in this journey that we've been
well,
on?
if this is the journey, if this is the ending to my journey, what a magnificent journey. I'm so glad to be a part of your life, my grandkids' life, my granddaughter's life, everyone. I am so grateful. I'm so thankful. And again, just like you said, if anybody's going through what me and you went through, if it helps just one person, that's why I'm sitting here. Maybe if one person was listening to our story, they can take that and make a better decision than what I did. So, on that note, I love you.
I love you too. Oh, thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for joining me on this
You're so
episode of
welcome.
Soulversation and sharing your truth,
Okay.
in love and forgiveness. So, and the major part of forgiveness in this story was about you forgiving yourself. Have you done that?
Oh, yes, I have.
Amen.
I have.
Amen.
I have.
Amen. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like, share, subscribe, send it to all your folks. Let's change some lives. Thank you.